That's right, folks. Another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Sunday. It is the Sunday Live Start Sit Show. We're here to bring you 2 hours of nonstop start sit questions, weather updates, injury updates, everything you need to know before kickoff, starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. I'm about to switch it over to the man, the myth, the legend, the man who was in the skies pretty much every weekend before, but now he's actually in person for today's show. It's Sky Gawasco, today's host. What's going on, Sky? How you doing? Go follow him on Twitter at Sky Gawasco.
I'm very excited to be back here for a full episode. It's the least I could do, Bob, to join on time every couple of weeks here. So 1 out of 3, not bad. If you watch the Mighty Ducks, Fulton Reed likes 1 out of 4. So I'll take 1 out of 3 here so far. We're doing well at 33%.
Let's bring in our co-hosts today. We have Matthew Styles, the mainstay at this point. I mean, if you think Sunday, you think Matthew Styles at this point.
We'll just start calling them Styles Sundays. How about that?
Yeah, I like it. He brings the style to the Sunday show. Matthew Styles, go find him at Styles08. What's going on, Styles?
Bacon, eggs, bourbon, and Sunday. That's what we have. We've got football.
Bourbon.
Let's do it.
It's the quadfecta classic.
Yes. And speaking of quads, we have a quad box today, folks. We got Derek.
That's right.
You can follow him Derek_Favre on Twitter. What's going on, Derek?
Good morning, gentlemen. Glad to be here, as always.
Oh, yeah. Ready to answer some start-sit questions. Sky Gawasco, we got a bunch in the comments. Let's take off. Let's do this.
We do. We do have a lot going on. I appreciate it. Everybody go ahead and follow us anywhere you'd like to on Twitter, of course, at Razzball Fantasy. You can follow us on that podcast as well during the week. All of us are writing articles all week long as well. Free article content all week from all of our writers at football.razzball.com. And, of course, hit the bell below. Subscribe and make sure you catch us every single Sunday. We got 2 in here right off the bat, and people are starting to pop on, so we appreciate it. We'll get to questions as quickly as possible, per usual, but we do have some loaded ones coming up from Patricio. Appreciate you coming in overnight, and Colton, of course, every single week. So we got a lot from you guys. We're going to get through them the best that we possibly can and try to keep it brief for you so we can get to everybody else. But it is live week 3, and we are underway. Here we go. I'll try to knock out as many of these as possible. Patricio, good morning. Trying to get my team 3-0. That's the way we do it around here. Full PPR. Love the format. Thank you. Started Daniel Jones and Darren Waller. Before we get started, Patricio, I want to let you know, I'm a Niner fan. I knew it was going to be gross, and I also started Daniel Jones and Darren Waller both in 3 of my 7 leagues. Not looking good. Let's go ahead and fix that for you and myself as well. This may not be easy. We got the running back position as well. Pollard. Okay, we need to pick 2 more. Ramondre Stevenson, Gus Edwards, and Ramondre must start. So we've got 2 more, and we're in the PPR, full PPR, Ramondre, Edwards, and Mostert. Matt, we're going to kick it to you first.
Easy for me. I'm going to go Ramondre with it being PPR, and I'm going to adopt must start as a term of endearment for Raheem Mostert. So those are the 2 I'm going to go with. He's much more likely to break a long run for a touchdown or collect the receptions, whereas Gus is a plotter, right? He's a mutter. Maybe he gets a touchdown or 2, but I go the upside of Ramondre and must start.
When you said mutter, I thought of the Seinfeld episode. Sorry, I totally messed up the flow, but when his mutter's a mutter, you know,
yeah. His mutter's a mutter.
Yes,
I got you.
All right,
Derek.
Well, I got to disagree with Sunday Styles here right off the bat. I mean, first of all, yes, Raheem is a must start for me. He's going to get a lot of volume today, like that matchup start Raheem. But I'm going to go with the plotter, Gus Bus. He is the only man in town. They've got a pretty good matchup. There's going to be a little weather concern there in Baltimore, which may temper the air yards a little bit. So I personally, just from a volume sake, I like Gus Edwards over Stevenson.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go Stevenson and Mostert here as well with Matt. I don't know what's going. Matt, do you have a weather pulse here for the Ravens Colts game? What's the feel there?
I think it's like 52 to 60% chance of rain in Baltimore.
Yeah, it looks like mostly rain at the beginning and probably throughout. Not the worst situation, but one of the worst.
I lean towards Lamar as the quarterback to own today in that kind of weather. I don't. Here's the double negative. I don't necessarily disagree with with what Derek's saying. My preference, right? So I give you my preferences. I would start the guys. I would start Ramondre and Mostert, but I don't think you go wrong with any one of the three, which is exactly why Patricio threw the question, because he's thinking the same thing. I don't have an answer here that's wrong.
Yeah, Patricio has been doing great. Honestly, I love he's been in the comments every single week. He gave us a shout out on Twitter as well. We appreciate you, Patricio. Sky, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, 18 total touches exactly in both of the first 2 weeks here. Scored a touchdown last week, exactly 15 PPR fantasy points in 2 weeks consecutively there. So I'm going to take that. I think it's going to be a dogfight versus the Jets, but I like Ramondre Stevenson. And I'm actually going to go with Gus as well. It's not going to be as pretty. In a PPR league, we don't really lean toward a running back like Gus, but Raheem Mostert, I wrote in my article this week for trade, actually to trade him away on a high note. He had just 10 touches in the first week, and then he went off last week because Belichick, shut down the passing game for the most part as best you can for the Dolphins. So that turned into a Mostert game. I think Gus and that run game for the Ravens brings it in this week. So I'm going to go with Ramondre and Gus as well. We got to keep going here. We got a lot to cover here for Patricio. And then Colton, stay on the line, my man. We're coming as well. All right, Diggs is obvious at wide receiver, but then we have Pickens, Olave, Judy, and Nico Collins. So again, guys, this is basically one team, full PPR. We did the running backs. We got Diggs already in the slot. I'm assuming we have maybe one other spot. I'm not sure, maybe two. I'm not sure if we're clean on that. But we have Pickens, Olave, Judy, and Collins. Styles, what do you think?
Every week, but this week it's probably Olave for me. But Olave is going to be going up against Jair Alexander. Alexander, remember what he did to Justin Jefferson last year? So I am probably going to start Nico Collins because I don't think I trust Kenny Pickett. I never have trusted Russell Wilson. Judy is still coming back from his injury. He didn't look great last week. I'm going to go Nico slightly over Olave, and that's partly as a Green Bay homer and partly because Jair Alexander is a legit number one shutdown corner.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, here we go. I like Nico Collins of the four as well. Although I'm going to divert. I don't like Olave this week as either, just the same reasons Matt mentioned. But if I had to pick two of these, if you need three, I'm going to go Pickens second. I mean, the Steelers travel to Vegas to play the Raiders. The Raiders have been a little leaky in the secondary. So I think Pickens, we might see the breakout from Pickens that we've been waiting for. So I'm Collins, Pickens, Olave, and then Judy.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Nico here. I'm going to stay hot with Nico. I have him slightly ahead of Pickens. The Olave stuff, you guys, I have him like in every league. And I was like looking at his matchup and I'm like, man, it does feel like he's not going to be great today. But I think he's probably going to get you like 5 for 70. He's probably going to be fine, but he's not going to be great. But I am going to go upside here with Nico, the Houston game. What do you think, Sky?
Nico Collins, easy for me. He's been dominating this year, and last week he was a wide receiver 5 in PPR. This week he goes up against Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams. Both of them have about a 95% passer rating against, so I love that. Also, Nico Collins, 41% air yard share. Folks, those are nerd numbers for guys like us, but I promise you, those are very, very good numbers for a wide receiver there. So Nico Collins has been great. 11 targets in week 1 versus Baltimore, 9 last week, 146 yards, finally scored a touchdown. We all thought the Texans would come out running with DeMeco Ryans. It has actually been the opposite with the young quarterbacks. So they're throwing all over the yard. I like Nico Collins a lot. Let's move in here for the defense. Have the Chiefs, other notable options, maybe Baltimore, Miami. Who are we thinking for DST, boys?
For me, it's easy. It's the Chiefs. I like Baltimore with the weather, but it's the Chiefs if he has the option to start them. Here's the interesting thing. Bob has already thrown this question up on Twitter. So other folks that are listening can go out and answer by just clicking a box to say which defense they prefer. So Patricio will know by the end of the show if we're on target or if we're crazy. But for me, it's the Chiefs. And I'm going to bet you $1 that Derek agrees with me.
Chiefs are playing the Bears.
Yep. Enough
Say
said.
no more. Say no more. Bobby.
Yeah. I'm going to go Chiefs as well. I think that Justin Fields has a good fantasy day, but it's going to be good for the Chiefs defense as well.
Yeah, and if you're looking, and I'll just go off the rip a little bit here. I agree, Chiefs out of these three options. But if you're looking at like streaming or you need to look at something else, take a look at the Browns. Their secondary is excellent. They were in a tight game last week with the Steelers just for a second there. But Derrick Henry's limited, which I'm sure we're going to get to throughout the program here. And if that passing game alone has to get after the Browns, their secondary is legit. So they're kind of a sneaky DST for me this week for anybody else that needs to stream. Patricio, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for knocking everything out. Very well organized. There's a lot of information, but you broke it down every single question and position. Thank you so much for doing that. And of course, we appreciate the shout out on Twitter as well. All right, Colton, 3 leagues for you, bud. We're going to get through this as quickly as possible. Thank you again for always coming in here and locking this down. We appreciate the loyalty. Also, I don't think I've made this mention in the avatar here. Looking fly, my man, assuming that's yourself. Got the suit and the tie, got the shades on, looking well done. Look good, play good. Sunday Live. Here we go. All right, Dak Prescott, Mac Jones. Gentlemen.
Who?
Dak Prescott or Mac Jones?
Who?
Mac Jones?
Dak Prescott for me until he proves all of us correct and that we hate Dak Prescott. So I'll go with Dak.
Yeah, today I'm going Dak as well in Arizona. I do like Mac Jones. He's been playing well, but they have got tough Jets defense. Weather's at play a little bit, like we just talked about. So I like the matchup in the desert for Dak.
Yeah, if it was another streamer, potentially I would say sit Dak, but I'm not going to start Mac Jones against the Jets over Dak Prescott. So I'm going to go to Dak as well.
Mac Jones is outside of my top 20 this week. Dak Prescott just inside my top 10. Arizona should get shellacked early by the Cowboys, but I assume Dak will get 2 or 3 early and probably shut it down in the fourth quarter. Inside the dome, not much of a travel. I like the Cowboys to run all over the Cardinals there, so I think we're going to go round trip on that. 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver. Let me see 1 second here. Bob, take over just for a second. I got a computer update I'm dealing with. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. So we got 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and a flex spot. We have James Conner, Zach Moss, Javonte Williams, Chris Olave, Jamar Chase, Tutu Atwell, and Jacoby Myers. A lot of names here. Matt, what's your thoughts on this one?
Let me do this running back business first. James Conner against Dallas is not a start for me. Zach Moss with the release of Deion Jackson could be a good fit. But I kind of like Javonte Williams trending up. It may be week 4 that he really breaks out. But for me, I'm probably going to start Javonte Williams in that situation for running back along with Zach Moss. I'm going to leave James Conner on the bench. For the 1 receiver, it's obvious to me I'm always going to go Jamar Chase. I just can't sit that guy. Hopefully Burrow is healthy on Monday night. If not, Chase he'll still get his. And he's got to get better. He can't get worse. Interesting receiver for me is Tutu Atwell. I think I'm going to lean him over Jacoby Myers. Tutu's going to be in the slot, and I think he's going to get lots of love. Now we have to look at Puka, and I'll check it now what the latest on Puka is. Bob, I know you're doing the injuries in the background. But for me, I'm going Moss, Javonte, Chase, Tutu in the flex.
All right. Yeah, for me, Denver has the second best adjusted line yards matchup versus Miami today. I think Javonte has a great day. Plus, Denver's going to want to keep Tua and that offense off the field. So, grounded pound for Denver. Javonte's my guy. And for the same reason Matt said, I'm sitting Connor. So Javonte and Moss are my 2 running backs. Same with Chase. You can't sit Chase. Monday night, today, that's a get well game for them. Even if Burrow doesn't play, Chase is going to still command targets. So got to go with him. Atwell and Myers both have top 10 slot matchups today. And we already talked about Olave and our concern there. So I am Chase Atwell with Myers in my flex. Bobby?
God, all this Chris Olave talk right now. God, you guys are killing me. I have him like in every league. And I was thinking, it's just super weird because I'm looking at my lineup. I'm like, I can't sit Olave. But then I have like guys like Nico on my bench because I drafted him late. And I'm like, So this is just great. Anyway, let's focus on the question. All right. I'm gonna go with Javonte and Zach Moss as well at running back. I can't sit Chase. I'm not going to do it. It seems like an overthink if you do that. I'm going to go Tutu Atwell, and then I'm also going to go. I'm going to go with Chris Olave. I think that Pittsburgh Raiders game is probably going to be uglier than we think. That those games seem to muck it up a little bit. So I think I'm going to go Olave, Chase, Tutu. All right, let's jump up to Scott. You back at normal or
I'm back? Yep. Sorry about that. I just had one of those update your computer right now. I was like, no, thank you. Terrible.
Back over to you, my friend.
Love that. All right, running backs are easy for me. Moss and Javonte, the guys have broken that down. Let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit. I'm going to go rogue just for a second. You're going to start Olave because everyone told you to, and we have the Chase as well there. But I just want to bring up in Jamar Chase really quick. Joe Burrow was not 100% to play on Monday. I know we can't wait that long. If you have him as a quarterback, I'm looking for other options personally, maybe Jared Goff, whatever. For the wide receivers, I do like Olave, Tutu, and Myers. I actually like Myers over Tutu personally. He had a massive game before he had a horrible concussion at the end of his and missed last week. But Jimmy is going to, throw that well. Devontae's got double coverage there. So I like Myers actually and Olave as my automatic starters. And as the flex, I'm going to go rogue, and I'm actually going to sit Chase. That's just my opinion. I don't like Joe Burrow here. The Bengals have looked awful, straight up. The Rams defense has looked better. And Jamar Chase, yes, he's Jamar Chase, but 17 targets on the season so far, 17 fantasy points in PPR. I want to repeat that one more time, folks. 17 targets for Jamar Chase so far from Joe Burrow, 17 total fantasy points. Okay, he will get better. I don't know that it happens this week. He's also has two pretty rough matchups at the cornerback position. So could Jamar Chase go 12 for 150 and 2 touchdowns? Obviously. I don't think it happens necessarily. If I have to make choices today, I can't wait till Monday. I'm going to go Olave, Tutu, and Myers, Moss, and Javonte as well. That's a lot. All right, let's go to the tight end position here. Ertz or Everett? Styles?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of either. Derek and I have had these two names. We've talked about them ad nauseum. I guess it's Everett, but I don't want to start either one. I'd rather go back to the wire and look for Hayden Hurst or Luke Musgrave and start either one over these two guys.
Same. I agree. Everything you just said. Everett, Ertz. If you're a Never Fields, I'm a Never Ertz. I know he's getting some run and he's looking, he maybe hit the fountain of youth somewhere, but I just don't trust Ertz at all, and especially going against the Cowboys. I'm out on that. So of the two, I'm taking Everett.
I'm going to go Ertz. The Cowboys, if anything, they're a little more susceptible to tight ends than the quarterback position. They lost Trayvon Diggs, but Tyler Conklin last week, 5 for 50. This game's probably going to be ugly, and there's going to be some dump downs to Zach Ertz. So for PPR purposes, give me those 5 for 45 and 50. I'm all about that. So I'm going to go Ertz here.
Yeah, same. I mean, the talent's not even close, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about opportunity, lots of weapons, shootout with Minnesota and the Chargers this week, but Herbert's got 6 other weapons he's looking at before Everett. Zach Ertz, folks, is in my trade article somehow to trade for if you can't pick him up for free on wire. He leads all tight ends through 2 weeks in targets, receptions, receiving yards on the Cardinals. There's nobody else there. Hollywood Brown isn't it. They're not getting production from anybody else, and I totally agree. The Cowboys will smash them, but there's going to be dump downs. And in PPR leagues or in tight ends, if we get 6 receptions for 60 yards, he's going to be top 6. And that sucks, but that's just what it is. And if he happens to accidentally score a touchdown, literally he'll probably be top 3 just with those dump down numbers. So it's ugly, but I personally would go with Zach Ertz. All right, then we got a kicker question here. Love that. Kickers, Joseph, Butker, Boswell, McLaughlin, Sanders, Pinero. Styles?
Butker, but we don't talk kickers, so we could just pass this one to Bob. I'm going Butker.
Yeah, I'm just going to pass it to Bob as well. Bob's our kicker whisperer. So, Bob?
I don't think I get enough credit. Like, I'm sorry, but there's like one thing I could say that I actually do well, and that's kickers. Running back advice.
Best in the industry. Listen. I will give you that.
Running backs, go these guys. Quarterbacks go over here. Wide receivers somewhere around here. Maybe Styles down here for some tight end advice. But for kickers, come to this guy. Okay. My number 2 matchup on the week is Jason Saunders in Miami versus the Denver Broncos. But Matt, what's the weather situation? Maybe some rain. Any issues down there?
Derek looked at the weather. Hopefully.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some low chance of rain. Not really too worried about it down there in Miami.
All right. There's Jason Saunders for me.
Love it. Yeah, I'll go Sounders too. I trust Bob. Defense, Dolphins, Panthers, Packers, Colts. Okay, so we're streaming here. So really quick, Colton, when you're streaming, our rankings are available. Bob and I have rankings available. All right, through Fantasy Pros. You can go check those out every single week. I think that would eliminate a lot of these questions here. We'll get through them. But when you're streaming a position, it's a bit tougher. We're always looking for defenses that are at home, defenses that are favored, so you can look at the lines, which is helpful. And then, of course, versus not a great offense. So that'll help you narrow it down, hopefully, a little bit. But we'll get through it this time here. Styles, go
For
ahead
me,
with
it's
the
the
defense.
Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll go the same. Dolphins out of these 6.
Yeah, I'll defer to these guys. Yeah, I don't really see any of these defenses as elite matchups, so I guess I will go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I don't either, unfortunately. I'm wondering if maybe the Browns, like I mentioned earlier, are available on waivers too. They're just not a popular defense to play. They have a great defensive line and secondary. Check them out. I'm going to go Dolphins too because they're ranked the highest, but the Dolphins are my 11th ranked defense. So in DSTs this week, I don't even have any of these in my top 10. So hopefully maybe the Jags, the Browns, Ravens, maybe even the Patriots. I don't know. Might be
Now,
available on waivers.
Derek and I chatted about this over text last night before I probably fell asleep in the middle of the text thread. But I think that a sneaky, super under the radar defense this week with no Jamal Williams, no Alvin Kamara, rookie running back starting in New Orleans, Derek Carr not looking great, Jair Alexander on Olave, no real true wide receiver 2. Sorry, Sky. I don't think Mike Thomas is that guy.
No, fair.
And a solid defensive front that's been putting pressure on the quarterback. They've been giving up more yards on the ground. The Packers might be one that you could look at if Colton doesn't feel comfortable with the Dolphins. But Derek may have done a little bit more research on that. But we're leaning Cleveland, but we have the Packers in our back pocket.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I like that. Thank you for jumping in here. That's the first league. We got 2 more leagues for you, Colton. We're going to go as quickly as we can. Brian, Jamie, Michael, Hiram, we see you all in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Coming up this morning, we will get to all these questions as soon as possible. Again, you are joining us live right here on Sunday Live on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We have the full quad box all morning long. We're going to get to all these start-sit questions. Thank you so much. And make sure you tune in to X. Bob has got a couple polls going on. We got a couple questions live on X right now. We need your participation. It's even stumping the pros. So we need your help to go vote on those. So follow us at Razzball Fantasy NFL. And that would really help us get those on. All right, Colton, let's blast through these second questions here. Fields or Prescott? Let's make it quick, boys. Styles, go ahead.
Fields is going to rush for over 100 yards today.
But will he throw for over 100? That's my question.
Not my problem. I need him, like Bob said, he's a cheat code on the ground.
Yes.
100 yards on the ground. I'm fine with that.
Normally I might go Fields as well, but not this week. Again, we mentioned Dak earlier in the desert. I'm going to go with Dak.
Fields.
Yeah, too many distractions in Chicago for me. I hate to do this to you, Colton. We rarely do it, but we're going to go 50-50 on this one. I got Fields 1 spot ahead of Dak. I just think the Cowboys run him out of the stadium by halftime. They're going to shut down Dak, run the ball a lot with Pollard in the second half. Fields, so many distractions, so many things going on in Chicago. He's going to try to prove everybody right. Andy Reid knows that, and I think they're going to make it really tough for him. Yes, he might rush for 100 yards, but he might also get sacked 9 times and throw a couple of picks out of distraction, so I'm concerned about that. Running backs here. We got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We're picking 5 players, gentlemen. Connor, Warren, Edwards, Tyreek Hill, Allen, Olave, Christian Kirk, and Jacoby Myers. Let me make this quick here. You start Tyreek Hill and Keenan Allen automatically. So we're picking 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 2 running backs in a flex position. 2 running backs in a flex position. Styles?
Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, Christian Kirk.
Gus, Warren, and Myers for me. And I just want to clarify. Yeah, you're starting Allen, but I don't see him. He has a low ceiling today to me. Vikings have been successful in shutting down slot receivers. That's where Allen lives. So I think you might 8 to 12 PPR points is actually where I see him today. So I'm not loving that, but he is a start. But I do like Myers.
I'm going to go with Connor Warren at my running back positions. The Ravens offensive line's banged up. They're down 2 starters today, and the Colts run defense is actually pretty good. So I'm going to go with Connor slightly ahead of Gus. For my flex, if you look at Kirk's numbers from last year, he was horrific against Houston. And now he's got this other, whatever's going on in Houston. They know how to shut down slot receivers for some reason. But I'm going to still give me Myers. Give me Jacoby Myers.
All right. I'll go Warren and Edwards as well. We just don't trust the Cardinals, period, outside of Zach Ertz, of course, against this Cowboys defense. So Allen and Tyreek are automatic for me. And then that flex position, we went Olave and Myers back and forth earlier. I think if you're just going to go flex, there's your number 3 with the upside. I'm going to go with Myers. I do think Jair Alexander will be a problem there for him. I want to push back a little bit on Keenan Allen just because I have to stick up for Justin Herbert any possible opportunity I have. Keenan Allen is the number 1 there, far and away. He's got a 30% first read rate, meaning Herbert looks at him first and then goes elsewhere. Also, he's facing Harrison Smith for the most part, 77% catch rate. That's good for wide receivers, and 130% or QBR against in the slot coverage. So I'm going to push back a little bit. I think Keenan Allen has another big game. And look, the reality is Keenan Allen is out. Austin Eckler goes nuts in the passing game. Austin Eckler's out. Keenan Allen goes nuts in the passing game. It's real simple. There's going to be 1 million points in this game. I think Keenan Allen goes over 20 in PPR pretty easily this week. Okay, let's move on down the list here. We got another DST question. We'll make it quick. Patriots, Eagles, Seahawks, Ravens, Raiders, and Dolphins. We've given you pretty much all of this so far, but Styles, let's do one more round robin.
Patriots.
Yeah, really like the Patriots today. Weather, I think, just even makes it a matchup a little better.
Patriots
as well. Zach Wilson, scared. I think Bill Belichick's gonna take care of him pretty quickly. Colton, wrapping it up here. Coming in, Fields, Pickett. This one's Fields all the way around, yes?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Moving on here. Running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Here we go again. We got all these names on the board. I'm not going to read them all off. Sorry, boys. Out of sake of time, we can all read them here. Not sure there's any super duper automatic, so we will take the time to actually break these down for you. But 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. So we're actually going 6 players here, at least 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers.
Give me Bijan. Obviously, I'm going to take Javonte as my running backs. Receivers are going to be Amon-Ra if he plays, T. Higgins, and then my flexes will probably be, strangely enough, I think I go Kyron and Brian Robinson with Josh Reynolds close in at flex.
Yeah, so me, of course, I'm playing Bijan, Javonte, and Kieran. I like him this week, so he'll be one of my flex spots. Amon-Ra, he's going to play. He got the clean bill of health. I'm staying away from T. Higgins. I don't like the matchup. Of course, we know the Bengals are struggling, so I'm staying away from Higgins as a flex. Tutu is going to be my second receiver in this group. Josh Reynolds is fighting the groin injury, so I don't like that either. And I really don't like the Dobbs matchup either. So I would consider flexing 2 running backs. So I'll flex Williams and Robinson.
Does it change if you hear Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are both ruled out today for Dobbs?
Ooh.
Knowing that he's probably going to have to face Marshawn Lattimore, right?
No, it doesn't for me.
Okay, fair enough.
So through 2 weeks, Lattimore's played 95% of his snaps on one side. So they haven't used him yet to shadow anybody. And I don't think Romeo Dobbs is going to be the guy that pulls him out. So I think that's like the Mike Evans thing, where when they play Tampa next week, then yeah, I think they're going to shadow him. But so far, it's been 95% one side, if that's helpful. For me, I'm going to go Javonte, Bijan, Kieran Williams, Jalen Warren, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tutu Atwell.
All right. I'm going to go Bijan, obviously. I said there was no automatics. I would assume Bijan would be an automatic there. Bijan Robinson, Kieran Williams are auto for me. I actually like Brian Robinson quite a bit as well. Buffalo's tough, but Brian Robinson's been on fire now that he's finally healthy. So I like that a lot. So those 3 can go in there. 2 wide receivers and a flex. Amon-Ra, I don't like any of these wide receivers, just like rough situations for all of them. But Amon-Ra, he's got a turf toe thing, but if he plays, you start him. And then I'm going to go with Tutu, actually. And then I will actually go with got to go Romeo Doubs if both of those guys are out for the Packers. They just they got to throw him the ball. I know Marshawn Lattimore's tough, but you got to give him the work. So I'm actually going to fade Javonte. It's just my personal opinion. But I'll go Bijan, Kyron, Brian Robinson, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tutu Atwell, and Romeo Doubs, assuming the Packers are out. If they're in, then you can go ahead with T. Higgins, I guess, just because they got to throw the ball. But a little bit concerned about that squad overall there. Okay, tight ends, Pat Freiermuth, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara out for one more week.
I guess Freiermuth for me. Tight ends are a wasteland right now. Flip a coin.
Yeah, honestly, I might roll with Hill this week. The Saints need some weapons. He is a weapon. He can play in a lot of different spots. I'm going to roll with Hill.
I have a weird feeling that Hill's going to have a big week.
Totally agree.
I think because of Kendra Miller's hamstring and him coming back, they can't just give him a full workload. Tony Jones is just like an average talent. And Hill had a really nice game last week. So from a tight end perspective, I think that you could probably get a decent production from him. So I'm going to go Taysom Hill.
Yeah, anytime, I think you guys would agree, anytime my tight end is rushing for 75 yards, I'm pretty excited about that. So that could happen today. Pop quiz really quickly. Put your two hands up like this, everybody. I'm serious. Put your two hands up like this. Okay. I want you to hold up the amount of receiving yards that Pat Freiermuth has on the season. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I've got 0, 7, 7, 5 receiving yards through 2 games. He has a touchdown and 5 receiving yards on 5 targets. Not there yet. The Raiders are dismal, but I can't trust them. Got to go Taysom Hill. All right, kicker question. We go right to the expert. Bob?
What do we got here? Aubrey, Dicker, Elliott, Jason Myers. Okay, the Seattle kicker. Yeah, Cameron Dicker was the guy that we talked about in my weekly streamer analysis here. So I'm going to go with Cameron Dicker.
DST, run it quick. We talked about a lot of these teams already. Browns, Ravens, Dolphins, Bengals, Packers, Lions. Styles?
In this order, Browns, Dolphins, Packers.
Yeah,
Ravens,
I would say Browns, Dolphins, Packers. Yes.
Browns.
I actually have the Ravens highest here. Ravens, Browns, Dolphins, Packers. So again, a lot of streamers. You're looking for bad weather, maybe DST, what have you. All right. Injury situation on Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, and Christian Watson. We're going to get injuries up and running here. I'm going to get our panel about 3 minutes to head check on that. We'll come back to you, Colton, on those. Again,
Jones and Watson are out. They're officially inactive. I know that for sure.
Jones and Watson are out. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Reynolds, both fighting injuries themselves, but we'll check the injury count.
Amon-Ra is in. Questionable tag removed.
Got it. And Josh Reynolds, you can tune in when we get it. Colton and Patricio, thank you again. We appreciate you jumping in with the full slate here. Let's get to everybody else here. Brian, Jamie, Michael, James, AJ, we appreciate everybody. Hiram, thank you for hanging out. Yo, baby, Brian's ready to go for week 3. I'd love to see that. Standard half PPR. So half PPR league, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Gabe Davis. Half PPR, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Gabe Davis.
I'm not starting DJ Moore. Somebody remind me of the matchups. What are we doing with Indy and Buffalo? I don't have
Indy is at Baltimore, and Buffalo is Buffalo's got the Commanders.
Give me Gabe Davis. I don't love it, but I'm going to stay away from Pittman in the weather with the backup to the rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
even though it is,
it's Gardner Minshew. Come on,
second.
Show some love. Show some love.
I'm the third, so he's got to be the second.
Yeah, Gabe Davis for me, top 10 matchup. Wideouts versus the Commanders. I like Gabe Davis today.
I do like Gabe Davis, but I am not going to sit DJ Moore. And just so you know, the poll is up on Twitter, and so far the people have leaned DJ Moore as well.
Nice.
Oh, up already. I like that. Boy, I want to go Pittman as well. I just wonder about the volume. Definitely concerned about Justin Fields this week, and I love me some Gardner Minshew, but I'm worried there too. So I'm actually going to go Gabe Davis also, but that's more of a boomer bust in half PPR. Yes, Bob.
I just got news from boots on the ground in the Baltimore area. The weather is dissipating. It's not as bad as we thought. The weather happened last night. So it sounds like the game should kind of operate as it should. And when we get to injuries, we have some big updates about the Ravens secondary. So
awesome. Let's get to injuries in about 10 minutes or so. We'll clue everybody in as soon as we can get through all of these. Colton's giving a shout out. Sundays don't get better than this. Totally agree. We got the full quad box for you. Jamie, morning, everyone. Good morning, Jamie. Always great to have you in as well. All right, Michael coming in here. Morning, fellas. Full PPR, tight end. Would you start Ferguson or Laporta? First of all, shouts out for your options. This is a legit question now in week 3. And I really like this if you've been streaming quarterback. So I like both of these guys, heads up, but we'll get into it. Styles, Ferguson, Laporta.
I would love to have Laporta on every team, so I'm going Laporta.
Yeah, I love me some Laporta as well. I don't think you can really go wrong. I think Ferguson has a really great matchup as well. So if you go that way, I think you're okay, but I'm going Laporta.
Since I don't learn from my mistakes ever, I went all in on Luke Musgrave against the Atlanta Falcons last week, rookie tight end, and I'm going right back to the well. Sam Laporta, let's do it.
I love it. Sam Laporta has been tight end 8 exactly in his first 2 weeks, 11 targets, 10 receptions, folks. Love the efficiency, making it happen. The Lions need to have a high-profile tight end. They do have that, even with the rookie Sam Laporta by a mile for me. All right, Jamie is in here. Roschon, Khalil Herbert, or Ford? Yikes. All right, so let's talk really quick. Lots of people burnt, 60, 70, 80% of fab on Jerome Ford. 6 hours later, Kareem Hunt comes back to town. He will be active. He is going to be behind, quote unquote, Jerome Ford for the Cleveland Browns, but we know that he already has an established role from his 4 years there behind Nick Chubb. And Jerome Ford was a backup, for a reason. Yes, he had a nice fill-in for Nick Chubb there. Khalil Herbert's been kind of fading. Roschon has been ascending. This one's a bit tough, guys. We're going to go half PPR in here. Jamie, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering your league specifically, but we'll go half by default here, Styles.
So here's my thing. I loved Ford watching him, and then I watched it again. Ford had a 69-yard reverse Marcus Allen run in the second half.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he didn't do a lot of great running back things. I also have a recollection of NFL teams liking to keep players in their established role. That role for Ford is the backup, which leads me to believe that Kareem Hunt will come in if he's in shape and if he has picked up whatever's new in the playbook, which probably is not a lot, to be the starter. He may not be in there for the first series, but I think that his role will be the Nick Chubb role. So I'm a little bit shying away from Ford a little bit because of the Kareem Hunt signing. I know Bob loves Khalil Herbert. Right now, I'm probably starting Roschon Johnson of these 3, but the right answer is probably not Roschon Johnson. That's just my opinion. That's the guy I'm leaning towards, but I'm not confident it's the right answer for everybody.
Yeah, for teams that have success against the Titans, it's not on the ground. Ford, he's going to get the volume. So if you spent your capital on Ford, you're running with him today, and you're hoping the volume gets him into the end zone. But that's just not a good matchup. Between the two Bears running backs in Kansas City, this is gross. But game script, if you look at a game script, I think Roschon has a better chance of factoring into that expected game script than Herbert does. So I'm agreeing with Matt. I'm going with Roschon on these 3.
Bob, you got an update for us?
Jair Alexander is out today.
Wow.
Big news for Chris Olave.
Wow.
That is huge news for Chris Olave.
That's really tough for Packers fans.
I think that kind of gets Chris Olave back into the mix a little bit, and I think I'm very happy to have him on my team. So
yeah, let's pause just for 1 second, Bob. We'll come back to this question here.
yeah.
We've answered about out of our 15 questions, 5 or 6 of them have been Chris Olave already, and I already have been fading him because of Jair. Jair's out. Chris Olave is an auto start for me. Would everybody agree?
Yeah.
Derek's
You want
80%.
the really interesting Packers note as it pertains to head coaches hate your fantasy football team?
Yes, please.
Aaron Jones has been listed as inactive, which means in Yahoo leagues, he's not out, which means you can't move him to IR and pick up another player for free.
Oh, for real? I haven't even looked at that.
He moved to NA, which is what inactive brings you in Yahoo, as opposed to he's out and they have Patrick Taylor or somebody else from the practice squad. So,
man,
thanks a lot, Matt LaFleur, you dick.
Well, that's a rough glitch that I feel like the system could handle maybe as well when we get there. But anyway, Jair Alexander out. As we get Chris Olave questions, we will revisit that moving forward. Bob, let's get back here. Jerome Ford of the Bears.
I think Herbert has a lot of empty calorie games. He'll have like maybe 10 carries for like 45 yards. And I think in a game flow, we expect the Chiefs to get right. The Chiefs have not looked good the first 2 weeks. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to go absolutely insane today. And I think that's going to lead to Roschon Johnson in the fourth quarter, getting a couple dump offs and stuff like that. So I'm going to go Roschon Johnson. We've learned from multiple times. For week 1, it was Jamal Williams. Week 2 is Josh Kelly. You do not start running backs against the Titans. Just don't do it. It's not worth it until they prove otherwise. This is going back to last season. So I'm going to go with the game flow projection. And I'm going to go with the guy who's probably going to catch some passes late, and it's Roschon Johnson.
The Titans
Correction. Aaron Jones is listed as out. My apologies to Matt LaFleur and Yahoo.
Thank you, Matt. Honestly, I love how you apologize on the spot. That's what people respect you. I like that.
Yeah. And that's what celebrities should do instead of this like open, oh shit, I got caught. Now I'm going to give you an apology. Matt earned it, owned it. That's what I like. Drop Aaron Jones into your IR. Come back to us with your fill-ins. We're right here for you up until kickoff. Bob?
And just a reminder, if anybody's on the East Coast in the Pennsylvania area, we have a spot every week. Sky, you want to tell the people a little bit about that? Matt joined this week. I want to let the people know about your radio spot.
Every single Friday, drive time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can catch myself for the most part if I'm unavailable. Styles stepped in a big way this week. We're with our boy Mike, and we will be on ESPN New Jersey, Philadelphia, 95.3. You can catch us out there during drive time for 20 minutes. Rapid fire, the fantasy fix. Catch us live on drive time, ESPN radio in the Philly and New Jersey area, 5:30 on Fridays. And we are just blasting listener questions. We give you our starts of the week, maybe a quick fade. We talk about the Thursday night football recap game. Obviously, a lot of Philadelphia, New York Giants, New York Jets information there as well. And I might even throw in a Bryce Harper, Trey Turner reference there for you as well. Okay, I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson here by a landslide. The Titans have lucked out with three different backups as the starting running back against them, right? But you play who you play who you're up against. Doesn't matter. The point is the Titans have given up 65 total rushing yards on the year. 65. And this is not a fluke. They were dominant last year as well. Their secondary is horrendous. You can throw all over them. Bob likes to call them pass funnel. Right? They are not able to be run against. I don't think the Browns do that today. I think Kareem Hunt gets a lot of dump downs. He's familiar with the scheme. I'm actually, unfortunately, spending money on Jerome Ford, probably sitting him if I can personally. Roschon Johnson is my start here for the Bears options. But again, I don't really love these two here as well. Let's go to hear them really quick. We have need 2 in PPR. Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson, Josh Reynolds, and Adam Thielen. Styles?
Josh Reynolds at home with Goff.
I don't know. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Adam Thielen of this group.
Incorrect.
9 targets last week in a favorable slot matchup. He's got another one this week. I just think the volume's there. And then I'm going Sky Moore. I'm a little worried about the groin injury there for Josh, so I will go Thielen and Moore.
And my second was Sky Moore.
I agree with Derek 100%. We just talked about this on the matchup show. on Friday. Adam Thielen has one of the best slot matchups this week. Andy Dalton, for what it's worth, the areas where he struggles are the red zone and deep passing. But we know what he's good at, just throwing it short, intermediate. That's where Adam Thielen is. And I'm going to go with Andy Dalton and ride with Adam Thielen as one of the starts.
Yeah, no ginger bias, of course. I'm
No,
also
there's
going to go with
100% ginger bias, by the way. I'm full transparent about that. So
Cooper Rush also in Bob's starting lineup this week. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen as well. We'll make it a trifecta there. The OG and Sky Moore also. Jahan Dotson is by far the best receiver on this panel, but they're not quite hitting it, and I think it's going to be a tough run against the Buffalo Bills. And then Josh Reynolds, obviously not 100%. Bob is ready for an injury report, which we're going to give you at the top of the hour, so make sure you stick around for that. We got a couple more questions I want to blaze through, so make sure you stick around for the injury report, and I've got about 12 minutes. Let's get into Michael Murphy. He's got a couple here for us. He comes in here, full PPR, boys, full PPR. Here we go. Pick 2 wide receivers, a flex from Olave, Higgins, Judy, Davis, and DJ Moore, I would imagine. For flex, also have running backs, Swift, Warren, Ferguson, Laporta. Okay, lots of names. Let's build this out here. We're picking 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, lots of wide receivers, lots of tight end options, and a couple running backs. Styles, we'll start with you.
I think we all agree, right? Everybody's going Olave with the Jair Alexander news. Most of us are fading T. Higgins. Half of us like Gabe Davis, half of us like DJ Moore. I'm going to stick Olave and Gabe Davis, and then flex. That is the flex. We will like Laporta over Ferguson. So, and if his flex option is DeAndre Swift, I'm starting DeAndre Swift at flex. So recap: Olave, Gabe Davis, Sam Laporta, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I agree with the news. Like you said, Olave, I already talked about Gabe Davis. I like his matchup. I'm wondering which more we're talking about. Is it DJ? Is it Sky? Is it Elijah? Although I don't think it really matters. I'm not playing any of them in the flex. Swift, if Swift is your flex option, I love it. And I'm going. We talked about Ferguson and Laporta as well. I like Laporta. I'm a Laporta truther. Top 10 already, and he doesn't even have a touchdown yet.
Kid's legit.
Touchdown comes today. Book it. Book it in Vegas.
Love it.
First touchdown, in fact.
Yeah, we just got a clarification. It is DJ Moore. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
We did get reports earlier today that Jalen Warren's going to get more work this week, and the matchup is so good against the Raiders. So he's so explosive. This could be starting to see like that Tony Pollard split. It's hard for me to just start him over Swift just yet. And honestly, the Tampa Bay Bucs is the one thing they do well is stop the run, and they don't allow big production from the running game either. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but this is full PPR, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go Olave, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore, and then Sam Laporta at tight end.
Oh, you're selling your soul to DJ Moore. It's sad to see.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. I just don't trust it. I believe I'm actually completely in agreement with Derek here. Like I said, Olave is auto start for me at this point. Gabe Davis as well, a little bit boomer bust, but I think they could have a big game against the Commanders there. DeAndre Swift is automatic for me as well. I like Jalen Warren, but I want to see a full workload. The reality is, even if they get up on the Steelers or it's a close game or whatever, Najee's still going to get his work. He just isn't very efficient. And I will say on 2 or 3 runs, he was running mean. He knows that he's kind of losing his job. And this kid's, in it. I like Najee Harris a lot. So I think he's going to take that personally a little bit. So I'm going to stick with Swift. Boston Scott is out. Not a huge deal, but does take a little bit of that pass game work away. I don't trust Rashad Penny. And my boy Kenny Gainwell is back this week, but I do think Swift is going to get the work there. So I'm going to go Olave, Davis, Swift, and Laporta all the way around. All right, Michael, I'm not sure if you were answering a question or jumping in here with Warren, Kirk, or more. If you need some more help, let us know. Otherwise, Bob's Burner has entered the chat. So I want to give Bob LaMarco a big shout out here. And James Gannon does have a question here. So let's go ahead and answer that for Bob directly. Full point PPR, pick 1, Joshua Kelly, Jacoby Myers, Zach Moss. Pick 1, gentlemen, full PPR. Styles?
Joshua Kelly, and if he doesn't do it this week, I burn him in effigy in the backyard.
Now, for me, it's going to be Jacoby Myers. His 1 week healthy before he got his bell rung. 10 targets, 9 receptions for 81 and a touchdown. Look for much the same against the Steelers. Jacoby Myers, full PPR.
I think, did he have 2 touchdowns in that game?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
Betting.
I think he had 2. So
It was
double
a big
down
game.
on that, Derek.
I'm gonna go Josh Kelly. Minnesota's the third best matchup for our adjusted line yards metric, and I think he's gonna get it done this week. So I'm gonna go Josh Kelly.
Jacoby Myers in week 1, 39% target share, 38% air yard share. Insane. I'm pretty sure the quarterback can't throw, but maybe I wasn't watching correctly for 5 years. 10 targets, 9 receptions, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
Jacoby Myers is the man. Joshua Kelly, I think, does have a big game. Again, folks, let's put things in perspective. Don't react on Josh Kelly sucks. He didn't do anything last week for me. He was playing the Titans. The Titans don't allow rush yards, period. And he's not the big pass catcher that Austin Eckler is. Therefore, Keenan Allen goes nuts. We have to do some quick math and try not to overreact. I do think this game gets out of hand in general. I think both teams are going to be moving the ball nonstop. The Chargers, for as incredible as Justin Herbert is and should be, they run the ball inside the 10-yard line, right? Like to an annoying amount. So I do think Joshua Kelly has a 1 or 2 yard touchdown or 2 today. Get some work there. I think it's going to be a bigger game for him. So I'm going to go back to Joshua Kelly. Faded him last week against Derek. I brought up the Titans and it worked out. I'm actually going to go back to the well though here. Joshua Kelly is my man. But in order, Joshua Kelly, Jacoby Myers, Zach Moss, number 3. Beach, morning. Was good, gang. Full PPR, Kendre Miller. We haven't talked about Kendre Miller, I don't think at all, really, on the program in general here at Razzball because we haven't been able to. Certainly not on the Start Sit show. Kendre Miller is going to be the starter for the New Orleans Football Saints. Today, my boy Jamal Williams, unfortunately, will have a better chance catching them all because he is out for 4 weeks on IR, and our boy Alvin Kamara does come back next week. So quick note, this is insane, but I had a friend of mine double check to make sure he wasn't injured because Alvin Kamara was on waivers in a league, folks. He's been out 3 weeks. Okay. If you don't have an IR spot or something, you couldn't stash him. He might be available in the league. It's insane. Go look for him. Look for Jonathan Taylor. It's crazy, but it's possible. Alvin Kamara coming back next week. All right. Kendre Miller or Cortland Sutton, full PPR. Styles?
Normally I'm the guy that leans volume. This is PPR. I don't trust Kendre Miller because I don't know enough about him. And we even just talked about the Taysom Hill effect, right? Derek, go check your text message. I'm waiting for your response. And with that being said, I'm probably going to lean Cortland Sutton. Number 2 against the pass as positive goes. Miami is down at the bottom for allowing points to wide receivers and tight ends. So I like Sutton just based on the nerd numbers.
Yeah, same for me. If full PPR, Sutton's getting 5 to 7 targets per week, 4 to 5 receptions. So anything on top of that, yards wise, he's looking at double digits. With Kendre Miller, he's making his pro debut today. Tony Jones is still there. It's not a bad matchup, but and like Matt said, there's some volume there, but we just don't know what we're going to get there. I'm going with the sure points with Cortland Sutton in a game that may get out of hand. So there may be some garbage points there for Sutton as well. So I like the Sutton matchup here versus Miller.
The matchup favors Kendre Miller against Green Bay today, but I think Taysom Hill's going to get a lot of run. I think Tony Jones has been up to speed. This is also a hamstring injury. And how many times do these guys re-aggravate these things? And I'm just not interested in taking a leap of faith. Devontae Parker had 6 for 57 last week against this defense. So I think that's something similar that Cortland Sutton can get. In PPR, that's 11.7 PPR points. So I'm going to go Cortland Sutton there.
Yeah, I want to go with my boy Kendre Miller. And to Matt's point, not know much about him. I studied Kendre Miller quite a bit in the offseason when he was coming in. I actually really like this kid as a prospect. He is the long-term option for the Saints. There's a high probability Alvin Kamara is not even on the Saints next year for a number of reasons. So Kendre Miller could be in line here. I think they're going to slowly move him in. Tony Jones did great last week. We have Taysom Hill. We have the passing game, yada, yada. So I'm going to wait a week. I want to see it on Kendre Miller. I'd rather him blow up on my bench, know that I can start him moving forward, or then start him and have him get 4 carries or something because he's not ready to get re-injured. That being said, Cortland Sutton, unfortunately, this is what makes me nervous about players. Players underperforming or having low numbers doesn't scare me if the opportunity isn't actually there and we were just wrong on them. The problem with players like Cortland Sutton is the opportunity is absolutely there, and he's not being very efficient. And he goes up against a great secondary with the Dolphins, Xavier Howard and Eli Apple, 55% passer rating against for Xavier Howard, 85 for Eli Apple, who can be beat, but that's probably going to be Marvin Mims instead. So a bit concerned about that. I don't really trust Russ right now. This is in Miami. Long trip there for the Broncos. So I'm going to start Cortland Sutton reluctantly because I just don't think Kendre gets enough work, but pretty hesitant on both of them, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, again, we have a full injury report coming up in about 1 minute, but I'm going to get 2 more questions in here from Mike F., and then we will get to a full injury breakdown and take a 5-minute commercial break with the rest of us to Bob coming up in just a bit. So if you have injury questions, drop them in the chat right now. If you're worried about a player that's questionable or you're worried about flipping somebody in or whatever, you need an update. Like we just heard that Jair Alexander is out. That's a defensive question. You wouldn't see that on your roster, but that affects now the Saints wide receivers. You have questions like that. This is your last chance for this hour. Jump it in the chat here. Mike F., we're going to get to your 2 questions, and then Bob will be taking over. All right, boys. Need a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Hollywood Brown, Pickens, Connor, Swift, Madison. Cam Akers is out, by the way, so Madison does look a little bit better. Pacheco, Hopkins, Sutton, we just talked about, and Kendre Miller, we just talked about as well. So again, running back, 2 wide receivers, a flex, Hollywood, Pickens, Connor, Swift, Madison, Pacheco, Hopkins, Sutton, Kendre Miller. Let's get it done. Styles?
Easy for me. Running back is going to be DeAndre Swift. A little bit more challenging on the wide receiver front. I'm going to go George Pickens because the Raiders are terrible on the back end. And I probably lean Sutton based on the things we just talked about at the last question. I think the Miami-Denver game is going to be high scoring. I think that game and the Chargers-Vikings game are going to both get out of hand as far as scoring goes. Denver's going to have to throw to win that game, but they're going to want to slow it down early with Javonte, but they're going to end up they're probably going to get boat raced by Tyreek. Now, mind you, Jalen Waddle's out. So Tyreek becomes even better Tyreek, but no Jalen Waddle means the score may not go as crazy as we think.
All I heard you say was start River Craycraft, but I may have heard you incorrectly in my head.
Where did River Craycraft go to college?
Probably somewhere up north.
Washington State University.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. 38-35 over the Beavs. Derek, over to you, buddy.
Too soon, bro. Too soon.
Spiraling.
Yeah, too soon. Yeah, for sure. Swift is the running back play here. Man, these receivers, this one's not too obvious. I don't really love any of these, but for the 2, I'm agreeing with Matt. Pickens and Sutton are my 2. Hopkins comes in with a questionable tag and an unfavorable matchup. So although, the name kind of draws you there, I'm sitting him. And then we just talked about Kendre Miller. I'm just not sure what we're going to get yet, and I would like to wait a week to see that. So I would also go with Madison as my
Hopkins questionable tag has been removed, but it's the 31st ranked defense. So that's the Cleveland defense we've been talking about. So yeah, you're very right on Hopkins.
Yeah, so Swift, Pickens, Sutton, and Madison are my 4.
And I didn't say flex. I go with Madison as well. Volume.
Yeah, I'm going to go Pickens, Swift, Madison, Sutton. And then I need Swift, Madison.
That's it. That's 3 for 3.
You got it.
Got it. Cool, yep. Cool. All right, thanks, guys. By the way, just a fun note, 100% of the people voted for Kendre Miller over Cortland Sutton on Twitter right now. Thought that was interesting.
Wow.
I love to hear that. Look, if he gets the full workload, I like the talent much more than Cortland Sutton. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed, and I don't think people take Taysom Hill seriously because he's a joke in the fantasy community. The problem is he's not a joke, and he's a staple in that offense, especially when like a quarterback's not 100%, the running back's not 100%. The backup option always is Taysom Hill, and we can't guarantee it'll happen, but if it does, it can destroy the running back. So I'm just concerned about that. That's
So you know what
my
that poll
stance.
tells us, boys? It's us against the world.
Yeah,
Us
just like Ohio
against the world.
State. Everyone versus Ohio State. It's pretty much
That's
the
right.
same thing.
Us against the world.
All right.
But I think it's more than that, though. I think Kendra Miller the Packers are more susceptible to the run usually. That's a good matchup. Both the starters ahead of him are gone. He's a third round rookie. Had a lot of hype in the offseason because the Alvin Kamara suspension was looming. I think there was this huge, everyone thought it was going to be 6-7 games, whatever it was going to be, and it ended up just being 3. But Kendra Miller had a lot of hype early on, and now he's going to get this start. I think there's a lot of things that make sense, but I don't know. We get burned all the time with these guys coming back from injury. I'm okay with being wrong about this because it's not about the matchup. It's about him just coming back for his first game in the NFL, and we don't know what to expect from him. So if you feel like Kendra Miller is 100% ready to go and you're all in, play him. It's fine, but we just don't take those risks when we know Cortland Sutton's probably going to get you 6-7 targets, probably get you double-digit fantasy points this week. But anyway,
yeah, and it's probably disgusting either way. But again, like I said earlier, I'd rather Kendra Miller blow up on my bench. People hit my DMs. They're like, Sky, I told you, dude, he's amazing. You'd be like, awesome. Though you can bench him next week because Alvin Kamara's back. So I'm not willing to risk it. And he's off of, by the way, he's off of multiple preseason injuries. Multiple injuries. He got hurt, came back, got hurt, came back, got hurt again, rested for a couple of weeks. All right, for me, this is going to be Pickens as my wide receiver and Sutton as my wide receiver. My 2 flex are going to be Swift and Madison. I loved the Pacheco matchup against the Bears all the way up until this morning when he still has a questionable tag. I'm concerned about it, and I think that they're just going to throw the ball all over the yard there. So I like Swift, Madison, Pickens, and Sutton. All right, we're going to
are we going to play with our lineups while Bob does the injury report?
We absolutely are. So we're going to take a quick pause here. It's the top of the hour. I'm going to turn it over to Bob. We're going to go on the Jumbotron for Bob. The rest of the 3 of us are going to get our updates and our lineups changed and everything else. So we will be back with you in about 5 or 10 minutes. Again, folks, we have about 45 until kickoff. We'll be signing off in about 30 plus. We got a handful of questions to get to, folks. We see you in the chat bar. We will get to all of these questions, I promise you, coming back in a few minutes. Bob has a full injury report breakdown, which starts right now.
Yeah, so basically, guys, we're here to break down the injuries that are going to impact your fantasy lineups this week. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, we had some updates this morning, but here's what we have so far. Obviously, Austin Eckler is out again today. Joshua Kelly is a rock-solid RB2 in a very plus matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Notable is that the Detroit Lions will be down 2 starting offensive linemen in this week's matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Jared Goff, still good at home. As we discussed previously, probably still an okay start, but he's also dealing with multiple injuries in the receiving core, so that's something we should note. David Montgomery's out today. Jahmyr Gibbs steps in. Craig Reynolds is a deeper name to monitor, maybe a DFS dart throw, but Jahmyr Gibbs should be in for a big workload against the Atlanta Falcons in a plus matchup on the ground. Jamal Williams and, of course, Alvin Kamara suspended means that Kendra Miller will get the start today, most likely with Tony Jones and also Taysom Hill. We have decided to view him more as a flex option, not a solid RB2, but keep bringing your questions. We do love that. Foster Moreau, not really big-time name for fantasy, but he's the other tight end for the Saints. Juwan Johnson could see more snaps today because of this injury, which could help him get more production against the Packers, a solid streamer tight end matchup this week. Elgin Jenkins, one of the offensive tackles, along with David Bakhtiari, who's a little banged up. So the Packers offensive line is dealing with some injuries in today's matchup against that really strong Saints front. Worth noting, especially with Aaron Jones also inactive today with Christian Watson. The biggest update from that game is that Jair Alexander, not pictured on the thing, is also inactive today. That's big news for Chris Olave. Have all the confidence in the world to him as a wide receiver too. What would have been a tough matchup this week. The Texans are down 3 offensive linemen. That is big time for the Houston Texans. They have the Jacksonville Jaguars today. Jags defense is very notable. They did a great job against Patrick Mahomes. If the Jags, for whatever reason, are on waivers, they are a solid matchup against this banged up offensive line. I think this is why you should fade Dameon Pierce this week. Zay Jones out today as well for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That should be a slight boost for Calvin Ridley. And also Christian Kirk is a solid wide receiver 2/flex in that matchup with Zay Jones out. I like Evan Ingram a lot today as a tight end streamer and a DFS play. Salvin Ahmed is out. That's notable for Raheem Mostert. I know Devin Achane is still working his way back, but expect Mostert to get a lot of work today. I like him as an RB2. Jalen Waddle is out. We had some joking with River Craycraft, who, by the way, when he's on the field, gets a lot of targets. River Craycraft is a very interesting DFS dart throw this week. Also, Braxton Berrios is a very productive player when he gets the looks, but Jalen Waddle being out most likely just means Tyreek Hill will blow up, but he is facing against a Denver secondary that has Surtain that could shadow Hill, which could open opportunities for those other receivers. Nick Chubb, of course, dealing with the injuries. The biggest update for him is that it was potentially just a torn MCL. Great news for his 2024 outlook. If you're a dynasty manager, we are all fading Jerome Ford this week against the Tennessee Titans. We don't know what the split's going to be with Kareem Hunt. The matchup is not good. Try to fade Ford if you can. Logan Thomas is out today. Bates is his backup. If you're looking for a much deeper name, the Washington has Buffalo today. We would not suggest starting a Commanders tight end, even with Logan Thomas out. Anthony Richardson out today against the Baltimore Ravens. That means Gardner Minshew could potentially be on the streamer radar. If you look over to your right of your screen, you'll see that the Ravens 6 score, which is Sports Injury Central, their secondary 6 score on defense is 54.8. That means they have a lot of injuries. Gardner Minshew is a crazy name to throw out there, but if you are desperate, the weather is looking better in Baltimore. So if you need a streamer this week or a DFS dart throw, Gardner Minshew is an interesting name. The Ravens are going to be down 2 offensive linemen in this matchup against a tough Colts run defense. That could make Gus Edwards more of a RB3 flex player this week, so watch out for that. Odell Beckham is out. Justice Hill is also out for the skill position group. Justice Hill being out is good news for Gus Edwards. It means he probably will get most of the work in this matchup, but I do not love the matchup for him. Beckham being out just means Zay Flowers, I think, is an auto wide receiver to start this week in that game. Some notable injuries for the Colts offensive line. Center Ryan Kelly is out. That is bad news for that running offense. Zach Moss does have a tough matchup against the Ravens run defense today. Maybe better viewed as a flex option than an RB2. Boston Scott is going to be out. It's musical chairs in Philadelphia, folks. At least they all take turns being out, which is great about the Eagles backfield. That just means that DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell, which is expected, will be the 1-2. We'll see what that split looks like this matchup. Quez Watkins, the slot receiver for the Eagles, is out. Maybe that funnels a couple more targets out to the other Eagles main players like Brown, for example, Devonta Smith, and also Dallas Goedert. Irv Smith looked doubtful. We have him listed as out here, but he is doubtful for Monday night. That could be slight bump for Tyler Boyd as they don't have a pass-catching tight end to fill his shoes. Now let's talk about some of the notable defensive injuries that are going to impact your fantasy lineups this week. We have the Chargers DST that is a 75.66 score. They're dealing with a couple injuries in the secondary. That could be good news for players. Obviously, you're starting Justin Jefferson, but Jordan Addison is someone we really like as a wide receiver too this week. Ravens, we just discussed. Lions pass secondary is only at a 74.1. They're dealing with some injuries as well. Desmond Ridder, if you want to get real weird in DFS this week, I actually don't mind throwing out a Desmond Ridder really cheap on DraftKings. I think he would be an interesting start, especially if Detroit puts up numbers at home. The Texans pass D is also pretty banged up this week. The Houston Texans are facing Jacksonville. We just discussed that Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk are both solid matchups, and Evan Ingram. Saints pass D is dealing with some injuries on the back end as well. That could be good news for guys like Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed. I actually think Jaden Reed is the guy I like the most. The Saints are a slot funnel defense, so that is notable there. The Titans pass secondary has been hurt for like 3 years straight now. They're still dealing with injuries. The Titans have allowed the third most fantasy points out wide so far this season. We love Amari Cooper. If you're looking for a DFS play, maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones is a nice dart throw this week. The Broncos secondary is dealing with injuries, with the Jalen Waddle injury as well. If, for example, Patrick Surtain shadows Tyreek Hill, we could see some River Craycraft, Braxton Berrios, and Durham Smythe. Believe it or not, I think Durham Smythe is a very good DFS and low-end tight end one if you need somebody in that matchup. The Seahawks also with a very low 6 score, 57.4. They are playing home against Andy Dalton. If I'm going to take a shot at any wide receiver this week, it is going to be Adam Thielen. I think he'll give double-digit fantasy point day in PPR. The Bears defense, 82.1 secondary. I think Patrick Mahomes is a great get-right spot. I actually have him in my DFS lineup this week. I think he goes off. Call my shot. Justin Watson catches a long touchdown this week. He is my DFS dart throw. My favorite DFS dart throw. Trayvon Diggs injured his ACL. He is out for the season. That could open things up against that really stout Cowboys defense, but we're not going to be starting many Arizona players this week. And the final one is the Cardinals pasty is also banged up on the back end. Budda Baker, the safety, is out, but Dak and company, we'll see what they could do in this matchup. But overall, you're starting CeeDee Lamb, auto start. You can get him in your DFS lineups, but maybe we'll get a couple Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup questions later on the show. And just a couple quick updates that we noticed too from the before we move on. I want to make sure we cover some of the updates that came out that weren't listed. J.C. Jackson, cornerback for the Chargers, is out today. That is good news. That's another little feather in the cap for our Jordan Addison / Justin Jefferson in a DFS lineup call. Cam Akers, Sky brought this up early, is out today. Alexander Mattison had one of the toughest first 2 games of the season. This week, he has a very good matchup against that Chargers run defense, so I'm not scared off by starting Mattison as an RB2 if you need him. We also have Paul, let's see. I think that's all I got for you. Back to you, Sky.
Love it. And again, folks, when we're thinking about matchups and perception in week 1, we always say, Styles and I did our episode. Bob's got his episode. Derek's coming on. We're always saying, don't overreact to week 1. Don't overreact to week 2, week 3, week 4. I mean, these things are consistently changing. Alexander Mattison, for example, got the opportunity with Dalvin Cook leaving, had 2 horrible matchups, had 2 horrible games, frankly, for fantasy, but now it looks a little bit better. Let's give him another shot. Cam Akers comes over. We're worried about it. Cam Akers is out, right? Just not ready to go for this game. Ty Chandler hasn't shown much either, so I do like that matchup. So we got to make sure we're ebb and flow. All right, boys, Bob's going to take a $5 here while the rest of us had our quick break. We're going to get back into this here. Let's get going. We got a lot of questions. One more time, if you're just joining the program, this is the Razzball Fantasy Football live show. We are live all the way up until about quarter 2. We got to get our lineups ready as well. Make sure we're up and good to go. And we're going to get our questions ready. So anybody else that has a last minute question, please make sure that you're jumping into the chat and we will get to them as soon as possible. Also, follow us on X. We have some polls up already at Razzball NFL, at Razzball NFL. We got a number of polls coming up. It's helping everybody, including us, get your opinions. Go vote on those right now. Leave a subscribe if you haven't already and a comment below. Let's get back into it. Matthew, good morning. Here we go. We got the 3 of us here. Marquise Brown, Romeo Dobbs, half PPR. Styles?
I don't love either one, but I'm probably going Dobbs based on the fact that most of the Green Bay squad is dinged up. So I do love Hollywood Brown. I don't love him this year. Maybe if Kyler comes back, he goes up my board a little bit, but I'm probably sticking with Dobbs in this one.
Yeah, I concur on everything Matt just said. Dobbs for me.
Okay, easy peasy. Let's get back into it here. Oops, I lost my position there. All right, Jefferson 23. Good morning. Long time jumping in here. Appreciate you always coming.
He's our newest writer too.
Love it, Jefferson. Thank you so much. Appreciate the work. So make sure to go check out all of our articles on razzball.com, football.razzball.com. All of us have articles for you all week long. Half PPR, Ford versus Tennessee. We've talked about that quite a bit. Pacheco versus Chicago. We talked about that quite a bit. Crazy wide receiver issue. Half PPR. We need 3 out of these 4 names. St. Brown, Ridley, Allen, Nakua. I don't think Nakua, we need to get an update maybe on there if we didn't have him in the audio there, Bob. I stepped away just for a second. Okay, so we got half PPR, Ford or Pacheco, and then wide receivers. We need 3 out of the 4. 1 running back, 3 wide receivers. Styles, we'll start with you.
I think our consensus is we don't love any running backs against Tennessee. Pacheco is holding the questionable tag right now, so I think I'd lean Ford. I don't want to do that, but I think Jerick McKinnon has a better game than Pacheco this week for the Chiefs. So I lean Ford. I don't love it. With half-point PPR, need 3 of these 4. St. Brown, absolutely. Ridley, absolutely. And I think based on, and I go Keenan Allen. I don't love the fact that Puka has had 2 limited practices and that you have to wait till Monday night. So right now, play the sure things in with Amon-Ra, Calvin Ridley, and Keenan Allen, and let Puka rest.
Yeah, for me, these running backs, I really don't really the matchup with Ford just really makes me nervous. And we do expect the volume, but is there going to be much room to navigate there? Pacheco, he's got the hamstring injury. Even though even the first 2 games, he's only averaging 10 rushes per game. I mean, that's not even without a bum leg. That doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence. He's not really getting that many targets either. So just from a volume play, like Matt said, I would agree to go with Ford. I don't love it, but that would be the way I would go. As far as the receivers, I really want to play Nakua, but I can understand, why you want to hedge your bets and make sure. I would check to see if you have any other emergency wide receiver options on your wire tomorrow. Because I do like St. Brown, Allen, Nakua, Ridley in that order, all things being equal. But again, if for some reason Nakua doesn't go, he did practice this week, but if he doesn't go and you have an emergency wide receiver you can plug in, then I would go and take the chance with Nakua just for the upside. If there isn't a off ramp there for you, then go with Ridley. Bobby?
Yeah. I'm going to go Pacheco. I just, at least I could tell you right now that I wouldn't start either of these guys. If I know this is the question in front of us, Pacheco over Ford, it's fine. Let's do that. For the wide receivers, I'm going to sit Puka. The one thing that last week we faded him, that was our fault. We should not have done that. San Francisco is nowhere near the matchup that Cincinnati's been over the first 2 weeks of the year. Cincinnati has allowed the least amount of fantasy points out wide this season. So I think Puka, with the injury and with the studs that you have, is okay to view him as a low-end wide receiver 2 this week because you have these 3 studs. So I'm going to go with St. Brown, Ridley, and Allen.
Pacheco, reluctantly, and automatic Ridley and Allen. And just did some deeper diving, gentlemen. Nakua is expected to start on Monday. Makes me a little nervous because it's Monday, but expected to start. I would rather have Nakua right now over St. Brown. First of all, the workload is insane for him, clearly. Matchup's decent, but St. Brown also is not 100%. So I like Ridley and Allen automatically, and I'm going to go with Nakua, and we will go with Pacheco there as well. All right, and looks like we need to skip over a couple there. All right, do I play Jalen? Oh, man, Jaden Reed or Romeo Dobbs since Watson is out? Styles will go to you. Or Johan, I'm sorry. I think I said Jordan. Pardon me there, Johan.
Jaden Reed has more gadget-type plays, more rushing opportunity with end arounds, that type of thing. I think their number 1 is Dobbs, which means, and Bob said that Lattimore's not going to travel. There's no need to travel with these types of receivers. I still lean the number 1, the de facto number 1 in Dobbs. But again, they're probably going to have about the same statistical day. But I lean Dobbs.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go the other way. Saints have been top 5 in allowing wide receivers out of the slot. Conversely, they are top 2 against preventing wideouts. So I do like the matchup a little better for Jaden Reed. So I'm going that way.
So, and by the way, Derek is bringing up these stats. We actually have the slot first wide points per game allowed by defense on razzball.com. So if you have these start-sit questions, we love answering for you, but it's a great tool throughout the week to use. So Derek's referencing the tools that we have on the site, and go check that out. We also have fantasy points scored by receiver as well, slot first wide, on the website. So go to the fantasy data tab on football.razzball.com. It is a great resource to see where fantasy points are being scored for wide receivers. So I appreciate the shout out there, Derek. I'm going to go.
Those are in front of those are in front of the paywall. Those are free.
Free because we're crazy people. We give things for free for I don't know what we're doing. The business model is skewed. That is what it is. We're for the people. That's what it is. All right. So I'm going to do Jaden Reed for that reason as well. Scott, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, Jaden Reed also. Saints are very good no matter what, but Marshawn Lattimore can only cover 1 at a time. So I like Jalen Reed.
So let's
Reed
make it 4. After the nerd numbers that Derek provided based on the site, I was incorrect. I'll go Jaden Reed. We'll make it 4.
Math is fun, man.
It is fun.
Love math.
Public math is even more fun.
Maverick,
Dude.
Godwin, Higgins, Gus, Madison, full PPR. Full PPR looks like a flex position. Full PPR, Godwin, Higgins, Gus, Madison. Matt?
The first week that Godwin outproduces Evans. This is the Godwin week.
Interesting. Evans has been on fire.
He has, and he's got a nice, matchup potentially this week as well. But in order: Godwin, Gus, Madison, T. Higgins, in that order.
And there's rumor that Cincinnati's going to make a game time decision to sit Burrow. I just retweeted that out to the Razzball NFL page. It's coming out of one of the NFL experts. I don't remember the name offhand, but it's a Schefter Florio type dude. So if that's being floated now, then T. Higgins drops even further down our list.
I'm going Godwin. I think Darius Slay. Slay did travel with Justin Jefferson last week. It didn't really mean much because Justin Jefferson's on another level. But Slay had success against Mike Evans previously. So I actually think that they use him to travel with Mike Evans. And I think Chris Godwin has a big week.
Yeah, full PPR, I agree. Any other format, I would have gone Madison here, half and standard even. But Godwin should have a nice game there as well, assuming Slay travels with Evans. Quick note before I move in. I just added in here our defensive slot versus wide PPR points allowed tool that'll help you navigate. There's a number of those tools there, but I want to direct everybody. So you can look in the comment thread here if you're on YouTube, and you can click that up. Make sure to bookmark that page. Check it every week as it is always updated, and use the tools on the website. Folks, they're free. And you can come and you can answer some of these questions ahead of us when you're coming in. So maybe you come in with a more deliberate question saying, hey, I've noticed Godwin has this type of matchup. Higgins has this type of matchup based on the research I've already done. Further explain that for us. We'd be happy to dive a little bit deeper. That way we're not as high level if you really want to get into those numbers. So just a heads up that I did drop the link below in the chat. Make sure to check that out. AJ, hey guys, who would you start between these two, Love or Stroud? Initially had Rodgers, but no longer have Rodgers. My options are bleak here, and the Saints matchup scares me. Totally agree. Matt, let's go with you here. Love or Stroud? Stroud's been above average. Love has played very well so far, but again, without a couple of weapons today.
Yeah, and AJ also mentions that his third option is Ritter in the next question. I will tell you this.
Yes. Say it. Get weird. Get weird.
I'm going Ritter.
Andy
I love it.
Stroud is down 3 starting offensive linemen. Love is down his left tackle, his backup left tackle, or not, his right guard or left guard, and he's down
top receiver, top running back.
Yep. I don't know. I still like Nico Collins because I think Stroud's going to find a way to throw the football. But like Bob said, let's get weird and go Desmond Ritter. Maybe it's a Kyle Pitts day. Maybe it's a Drake London day. I think they're going to do 50-50 on the ground, if not more. I think this is the week that Bijan separates himself from Tyler Algier a little bit. But yeah, let's get freaky. Let's go for Ritter.
Get freaky. Love it.
Yeah, I've got all 3 of these almost in order in my ranking, my quarterback rankings. So it's really a coin flip for me. I like the game matchup better in Detroit, so I will go Ritter as well.
My get weird start of the week is Desmond Ritter against the Lions. The Lions are really banged up in the secondary. I think if Goff plays Goff at home, they're going to put up points against Atlanta, and that's just going to force. We saw the game flow last week for Ritter against the Packers when they got up big early. Maybe something similar happens this week. I just think it's nice. I like it. I'm in. Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, if you're not going to go with Andy Dalton, then I would go with Desmond Ritter as well. He can run a little bit. Also, just 2 touchdowns, but that's pretty much the Falcons' offense passing-wise. But he went from 18 attempts in week 1 to 32. If we can just please get a Falcons quarterback to at least throw 30 passes a game, even if they're not terribly accurate, that will help us increase that offense in general. So I agree with you, boys. I'm going to go with Desmond Ritter as well.
What if the 4th option, and I bet you it is Baker Mayfield?
Ooh.
No.
You're a liar.
Not even a liar. Not even a liar. First of all, I'm not going to do one of those like I told you so's because Desmond Ritter's not good yet, but he will be. Love the kid coming in. I've stashed him he's been on a taxi squad in a dynasty league for a while. I'm waiting for it. Love that. I'm out on Baker. Baker's super fun. I love watching a random highlight when he gets blown up 3 yards out of bounds, smashes into the opponent's bench, comes up and pumps a couple of fists and, goes 16 for 41 with 264, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Love the line, love the story. Fun to flick some shit here on the program, but there's not a chance I would start him in a lineup. Ready for that?
Really?
All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Here we go. The legs of Jared Goff or the arm of Justin Fields? Matt, we'll go to you first.
Jared Goff.
Goff.
I'm going to go Fields.
Now, Matt, to be clear, in a race or for fantasy football?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go with Goff here. Goff at home. I love it. Again, you could start Fields. It's hard to maybe sit him because of the bounce back, whatever. So many distractions down there. I'm really concerned about it. And the Chiefs, I think, will just be ready for him. So I'm going to go with Jared Goff as well. Mike F is back. Running back, wide receiver, flex, Madison, Pittman, DJ Moore, Hunt, Gainwell, Herbert, Miller, Dotson. So many options. We need 3 names, Running back, wide receiver, flex for Mike F. Matt, go ahead.
What does the F in Mike F stand for?
Football.
Correct, unless he tells us different.
I thought it was
one
friendship.
running back.
I'm still going with Florio, but we also haven't confirmed or denied that either, so we'll stick with Mike Football.
Yep. I think running back wise, we've kind of agreed on the Alexander Madison week. One wide receiver for me. Oof. Do we think that's Kendry Miller? Yeah, we think that's Kendry Miller.
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson. I guess give me DJ Moore over. Nope, give me Pittman. So I'm going to go Madison, Pittman, and I will flex. Yeah, I guess I'll flex DJ Moore, but I would prefer to flex Dotson, but I'm going to go with DJ Moore.
Yeah, Madison at running back. Pittman has the top slot matchup of the week versus the Ravens. I'm going Pittman, and then I'm going DJ Moore as well. Dotson has one of the worst matchups. So Madison, Pittman, DJ Moore.
Agree.
Yeah, same. First 3. I agree there as well. Want to dial back here really quick, boys. We don't need to take a lot of time on this, but we did just get an update that Baker Mayfield is unavailable. How about Gardner Minshew versus the Ravens? So it'd be Ritter. We go back here. It'd be Ritter, Love, or Stroud. Let's just make a quick one-word answer. Gardner Minshew, Ritter, Stroud, Love. Matt?
Ritter.
You want to go Minshew? I could smell that, Bob. I could smell it through the screen. I love it.
Where did Gardner Minshew go to college?
Somewhere up in the eastern part of Washington.
Yes.
Go Cougs. Okay, let's move on here. We got Big Trev coming through. Warren or Ford, we've covered this a lot. However, we haven't talked about it in a standard league. We're imagining this is a 0 PPR league, if you will. Matt?
I guess it's Jalen Warren. If we're fading Ford, we got to continue to fade him against Tennessee. So give me Warren with a tasty matchup against the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm the same. Obviously, you don't like Warren as much in the standard league versus a full PPR or even a half PPR for that matter. But if I have a choice, a halfway decent choice to move away from Ford this week, I'm doing it every time, and Warren is my choice. So,
Warren.
Bobby?
Boy, I hope we don't find a seam and he gets another 70-yard touchdown on accident. We look like bozos, but I agree with you on just on paper. I'm going to go with Warren here. Should get a lot of work in the second half. And we're eliminating receptions, which would even help Warren anyway. So I like that a lot. Folks, I'm going to give everybody a 15-minute warning. 15-minute warning. We will be signing off about quarter till. I want to make sure we get all those last-ditch questions. So if you had a question or you've already answered a bunch, but you got one more, feel free to bring it to us. Kicker questions go directly to Bob. We got weather updates. We got injury report updates, defensive questions, whatever you got for us, let us know. Also, we'll have a little fun here. I dropped my trade article, and I've got a lot of comments on that as well this week. So if you have any trade options you're looking for into next next week, please let us know. We got a handful of questions, but this is your last opportunity to drop in some more. We'll be off in 15 minutes. Bob.
Do we have a weather update, guys? What is there anything that we need to? Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so for those of you on the West Coast who didn't know, we did have a tropical storm move its way up I-95 this week. Currently, it's breaking up in Pennsylvania, so it's affecting the games a little bit in Baltimore, in Washington, and for the Jets, Patriots. I've seen some updates this morning. The field and the weather doesn't look too bad in Washington and Baltimore. I know they had the tarp on the field through the worst of it yesterday in Washington, so field should be fine. Maybe a little rain in the beginning, but it shouldn't be all that bad. Same in Baltimore. Maybe a little rain in the beginning, but it should be dissipating. So the only one that I'm really concerned about is the Patriots-Jets game up there in New Jersey. High chance of rain. More importantly, some gusty winds. So all you Zach Wilson lovers out there, he might have a tough day today. But otherwise, might be a ground game kind of day for Stevenson and for Cook and the rest of the boys for the Jets. So the only one I'm really worried about at this point, again, is Patriots-Jets.
All right, let's do a quick Garrett Wilson pulse here. Is Garrett Wilson a full fade, or are you still willing to start him, Derek? If is he a full fade for you, or would you start Gabe Davis over him?
So that's actually a very good question for me. In our Guillotine League, I have Garrett Wilson as my second quarterback. So my choice was, do I start Garrett Wilson as the super flex, or do I go off? And my choice actually is Laporta. So I'm starting Laporta over Garrett Wilson in my super flex. So to answer your question, I would take Gabe Davis over Garrett Wilson in a super flex.
What about Jaden Reed?
Whoa, that's a good. We do like Jaden Reed. We talked about him already. I think I would probably go with the quarterback though in that situation.
So when I think about the Jets, right, and we saw this last week. I know that Tyreek had a couple numbers and they got the win for Miami, but Tua is just not successful. They get W's, but not for fantasy against Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick has one method always. It's eliminate the best player on that offense, best to his ability. It's either Breece Hall or it's Garrett Wilson, and it's got to be make Zach Wilson beat you, right? I mean, or the run game. And the Patriots are always good against the run no matter what anyway. So I'm really worried about that. I mean, if they just clamp down Garrett Wilson, and yeah, Breece and Dalvin Cook might have a ton of touches, could get a touchdown or two, but I don't think Garrett Wilson does. I'm actually really nervous about him today, honestly. All right, let's move on here. We do have a couple more questions coming in here. I appreciate that. So again, we'll be out in about 15 minutes. Jump in and deliver as many questions as you all need. Okay, I want to make sure I'm up here. Did we do this one already? I don't think so. Matt S. Just a lot of familiar names, but new question. Okay, Matt S. Half PPR. A.J. Dillon or Gus Edwards? Again, we do have A.J. Dillon as the starter for Green Bay, and Gus Edwards is the starter in Baltimore as well. As the RB2, we have a flex. Do we hope Puka is good? I had just mentioned Puka is expected to start Monday night, so I think that hopefully makes you feel better. I still have Godwin that I can play if Puka is out. So just dissecting this, basically it's Dillon or Edwards, and then do we trust that Puka would play, or would you rather go Godwin? Matt?
Gus Edwards, even as a Packers homer, and I'm starting Godwin as the sure thing. Sure thing to play.
Yeah, same for me. Gus Edwards between those running backs, and I mean, you're the best of both worlds here for the Monday night game. You can wait out to hear the news for Puka, but falling back on Godwin is a godsend. So yeah, I'm not worried about Monday at all. I would just wait for the news to come out Monday before you just make that decision at the last possible minute. But I have no issues falling back to Godwin if you have any concern whatsoever for Puka.
I'm going to go A.J. Dillon versus Gus. The offensive line's a little shaky for the Ravens, and also the Colts' run defense is pretty good. And then I actually like Godwin as a standalone play. I actually wouldn't even bother with the Puka stuff, and I would just start Godwin outright. But if you want to just keep riding the hot hand, I think you're perfectly fine. Just play Puka, and then if he's out, just play Godwin.
I'm good with Puka, actually. I'm going to go Gus Edwards, but I'm actually good with Puka. I feel confident. I did some research behind the scenes here, and I mean, he should play, unless it's a last-minute scratch, which then you're just screwed anyway. I'm good with Puka personally. If he doesn't work out, you could then go pick up the ghost of Tyler Boyd, potentially to fill that spot. Tutu Atwell might be available. I know we don't love Van Jefferson, but he's not rostered. So there would be Tyler Higbee might be an option in a flex or something, whatever. I mean, there's going to be options for you to fill that spot if Puka does go out last minute. I like that. I like Godwin as well, but I'd rather have Puka. He's just been absolutely on fire. So for me, it's Gus Edwards and Puka. All right, Jefferson. Also, the other would be Aljair, but I'm starting Bijan. Yeah, we'll just start with that. Okay, once again, folks, just a reminder that I did drop the defensive slot versus wide points per game allowed tool in the chat. Make sure you take this link. You can follow it on our website there, football.razzball.com. Go to the fantasy tab. There's a drop down of about 6 different tools. Please jump into those. Use all of those. They're for free. You can automize them. They're customizable, incredibly insightful and helpful. We all use them personally to help with our articles and our lineup decisions. Please make sure that you're doing that as well. And it seems silly to announce this on this particular program, but just a reminder to everybody, we do this every single Sunday for 2 hours up until kickoff. Tell your friends, tell your family, and bring them out. All right, AJ, love it. You're very welcome. Sadly, we went through Gardner Minshew. Baker's out there. Okay, Mike with the big thanks as well. And Richard would like to know here, Alexander Madison, Bijan Robinson, or Drake London. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. I was like, this seems quick. Alexander Madison, Brian Robinson, or Drake London in PPR, Matt?
Give me Madison. I don't want it to be him, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think that's the right answer. We just talked about Desmond Ridder, and you like to think that connection is with London, but Mac Hollins actually has a really good slot matchup, and I think he's going to be the receiver for our Desmond Ridder play a few minutes ago. So I actually like Mac Hollins a little bit over London, and then for Brian Robinson, Buffalo is one of the best against in our adjusted line yard metric on our site. Buffalo is one of the best against. So I don't like Brian Robinson today. I think Madison is the play. Bobby?
Yeah. If we think that the game's going to go in Detroit like we think it's going to go, then you should probably start Drake London. The matchup's not it. The Detroit secondary hasn't been great this season. But Madison, if you drafted him in the 4th round and you can't start him this week, you gotta. For the hope of the world, let's just say Alexander Madison, let it ride. I'm praying for the world. Let's do it. Madison.
Yeah, Madison as well. If this was half or standard, I would go with Brian Robinson, actually, but you get the full PPR. He does catch passes, or let me rephrase this. They target him a lot. Whether he catches them or not is still to be determined. However, they do target him quite a bit. Should be a shootout with Minnesota and the formerly San Diego Chargers there. So I do like Madison as well. Move down here to a DST question. William Jones. Who?
William Jones.
Would like to know here. Colts, Miami, Rams, Raiders. And by the way, William, fire emoji game. Got the strong like it was a breakfast sandwich or a burger. You choose. I mean, now it's afternoon on the East Coast, so you decide what you'd like to have for a little pregame sando. And is that fencing? Can we agree that would be a fencing emoji there, guys? Or is that like a lightsaber? Are we sure there? Can we?
I don't think it matters. Either one would be awesome.
Yeah, fair enough. I like that. All right, William Jones would like to know on a DST question: Colts, Miami, Rams, Raiders. Bob, can you please check the chat here? Make sure we don't have any robots infiltrating. Go ahead, Styles.
I'm gonna take the Dolphins, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and state that is a cheeseburger with a fried egg. Derek, over to you.
I'll take that cheeseburger with fried egg.
Oh my goodness! Breaking news. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry, Derek. Breaking news. Fencing. Defense question.
Nice.
Fencing emoji.
Yes.
Absolutely elite. William, that's
William
elite.
Jones just made the top 10 favorite list with Patricio and Colton.
Oh, man. Look at that.
Climbing the list.
Updating the rankings as we go, folks. That's what we do here. Well done, William. Derek,
Yeah,
back to you.
he gets a prime spot in our chat next week.
Nice job.
You just bump him right up to the top. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm going with the Dolphins as well, and I'll go out on a limb just to reward William with his strong game. I say they have a pick six.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
So I'm going with the Dolphins.
I'm going to go Rams. I think the Burrow situation is kind of weird right now, and he hasn't played well in the first 2 weeks. So I think that there is a shot he sits. And so I'm going to go with the Rams and hoping that the backup quarterback plays.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to be a good play in this one here. Home against Russell Wilson. Looks a lot better last week after a giant touchdown, but has not been very efficient otherwise. So I do like the Miami Dolphins. They're playing well on both sides of the ball. I think that'll be fun. Again, William, well done. Thank you very much.
But we prefer Cleveland over Miami if Cleveland's on his wire.
Absolutely. Yep. There are some other options out there than I mean Baltimore as well, depending on what your league looks like. And again, if we haven't got it already, Mike F, we are phoning in personally. Mike F, please come to the front of the stage. Thank you so much. Elijah, start Kirk Cousins or Justin Herbert? Wow. This is a week deciding question, gentlemen. Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, same game. Both could have 40 fantasy points in this one.
Yeah, I'm starting Herbert.
Obviously, Matt, you didn't read my 5 things to know article. I posted the link. I posted the link in the chat. If you scroll down here a little bit, you'll see the link there. Elijah, go read that. The Chargers have given up the most fantasy points per game to wideouts. Tua, if you remember, in week 1, threw for like 1,000 yards. Even Tannehill had over 20 fantasy points last week. So now you've got to play Kirk Cousins. End of discussion. We love Cousins. Herbert. We love Herbert. Don't get me wrong, but you got to play Kirk Cousins this week.
Kirk Cousins for me.
Kirk Cousins also. Go Ducks.
That is weird. I would never have guessed that. I would have said Herbert all the way.
I would have answered for him.
Yeah. We should have just started with Sky, because if you said Kirk Cousins, I'd be like, that's who you're playing.
Folks, I'm here for wins, not clicks. Let's get it right. Jeff K wants to know.
You have a
Jeff K wants to know PPR. Pick 2. Mixon is the RB1. Are we sure about that? Mixon's the RB1. Reminder Stevenson, Mike Sanders, Mostart, Pacheco, Miss. A lot of questions going on here, Jeff. Got to be honest. Let's try this one more time here. Picking 2 in PPR. Mixon is already slotted as the number 1, assuming we agree with that. Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, Raheem Mostart, Pacheco, and Miss. Thanks. Sorry, Moss. Good save.
Ramondre and Mustard.
Same for me. I'm going to bench Mixon and go with Ramondre and Mustard.
Wait a minute. I think you can
pick 2.
You can keep Mixon.
Okay.
In addition to, I believe it's.
I'm probably starting Moss over Mixon.
In that case, yeah. Then I would also consider Moss over Mixon.
Oh God.
Yes.
Jeff, we're just.
Ramondre, Mostert, and Moss.
That's 2 of us.
So that's the question. It's pick 3. Let's do pick 3 instead. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Derek.
Fade Mixon. Ramondre, Mostert, and Moss.
Correct.
Matt, you too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Bob? Bob either froze or that's a statue. Okay, good.
No.
He's handsome either way.
That's the thinker.
Yeah. No, it doesn't really. I'm just trying to see if I care about this Rams running game matchup here. It's like, is it that bad?
I think contractually you have to care, but that's
no. Well, you guys make a good point. If Burrow's out, like, is it going to be a complete dumpster fire for Mixon and company? I think I'm still going to. I mean, the Zach Moss situation. I mean, he looked really good last week, but the Ravens are still good against the run. So I'm just gonna stick with Mixon. Go Mixon, Stevenson, and Mostert.
And let me ask you this: you have 2 seconds. You ready? Name the backup quarterback for the Bengals. 2, 1. You can't do it. Can't start mixing.
It's not Achilles Smith. I know that.
It's not Andy Dalton either.
It was Brandon Allen, but he's hurt. I think it's the third string guy, to be honest with you.
I'm going to go with I'm actually going to sit my boy Heem. When he scores a touchdown, I'll be blowing up the chat with my weekly Heem. You know, I'm a big
probably
fan.
Shadur Sanders.
Ooh, rough week. Too early for a
Jake
watch.
Browning is your starting quarterback.
From?
He's got to be an Ivy League kid.
Washington, University of Washington.
Nobody likes UW on this program, which is great. So we can collectively bash him, which is awesome. All right, I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson, automatic. I'm actually going to fade must start. Again, I mentioned it in my article. I just faded in week 1, blow up in week 2. I think the Dolphins get it done and through the air. Worried about that. Pacheco, I think, is actually the nice matchup here. And I'm going to stick with Moss, especially if Burrow's out. They're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to ride that. So I'm going to go with it there. Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you so much. We got about 2 more minutes for questions, folks. Again, let's get that last burst in here so we can get it done and wrap up the program. We got our own sites to get done as well. Back with the emoji game. Look at this. Half PPR, William Jones. Now, William, again, I don't want to be rude here, but let's keep it slow, okay? We only have limited top 10 options. We have limited top 5 favorites. So making a dash effort for the top here, which I appreciate, but let's give everyone else a shot here at the top 5. Half PPR, need Jones replacement. Aaron Jones is out. We have Roschon, Warren, Swift. I think we've made this pretty clear throughout the morning, but let's go quickly here. Matt?
Swift.
Forfecta. Once again, Derek's article is available here. You can check that out and all of our articles out. Again, win. That's all we do here on the program. Mr. Scampers, good morning. Mr. Scampers, we have about 30 seconds to get a question. If you do have one, please make sure to get that. Jeff wants to throw out the appreciation. Bob with an injury report. Derek with the weather report. Matt with the Packers issues. Anybody else have any quick mentions before we sign off here for the morning?
Amari Cooper, DJ Shark, 2 wide receivers to watch today.
Okay, like that.
I have DJ Chark in one of my DFS lineups. You sick man down there. I like what I'm really feeling Derek today. I like what he's got going on. So Sunday Live for Matt. This is for Matt. Matt asked us in the private chat to put up his start sit question. It was Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, and George Pickens. The people have yet to speak, my friend. George Pickens slightly ahead at 38% of the vote. Right behind him at 35% is Javonte. A distant third is Jalen Warren at 14%. We did see some C results. We like to give the people out. So it looks like you guys might be right. It looks like the people are leaning George Pickens in that one. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't even know how many coins to flip before I get one and say, "Yep, that's the exact name that I want to go with." I mean, 2 of them are in the same game. So are they going to throw? Or are they going to run? Matt Canada said he's going to spend more time with Kenny Pickett and make him a better quarterback. Shrug of shoulders, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I love Javonte, but I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if this is his week or if that week starts next week. So what do you guys say for the matchups? The Raiders are terrible, which has me leaning towards Pittsburgh, and Denver has Miami, right?
Yes, traveling to Miami.
Yeah, and they're not. I guess they're a better defense. So I think we're going to stay with Pickens unless Derek says we're going with Javonte.
No, well, I predicted Pickens would be a top wide receiver draft next year, so he's going to start that this week against the Raiders. So yeah, my coin ends with Pickens. I want to think Javonte has a nice game, but I think just the upside for Pickens is the play.
Yeah, same.
All right, Sky, I think we have one more, right? And then we're going to lock it up.
We have one more unless Mr. Scampers can get in. Mr. Scampers, get it in, my man. Let's go. Need a QB. Need a flex. Fields, Mayfield. Man, why are you bringing Fields and Mayfield in at the end of the program, William? Come on now. Fields, Mayfield, Mack, and Flowers, Puka, or Moss. We need a QB and a flex. PPR, Styles?
This is easy. Fields and Flowers.
Make that
Field
a double.
Of Flowers?
Yeah, make that a double.
Triple.
Fields and Flowers, yep.
Oh, triple. Wow. Fields and Flowers. I'll go with Baker. Psych. See what I did there, Matt? See? Psych. I'm going to go Fields as well. And I'm going to go Puka Nacua. I feel good about it. I think he plays. We're ready to go. Mr. Scampers, nice job. Way to get it in there. Hollywood or Madison, PPR Guillotine League, which means if he loses, lowest score in the league, he's out. Let's make sure we get it. Hollywood, Brown, Madison, PPR.
Sky, we got to clarify, is this our Guillotine League or is it not our Guillotine League? Because that's going to be the dictating.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, if you're in our league, then we're going to give you Hollywood Brown. If
that's
you're
right.
not in our league, then it's Alexander Madison. Can we agree?
That's right. Yes.
All right, guys. William, you're very welcome. Mr. Scampers, you're very welcome. Everybody else, not our league. All right, then Alexander Madison it is. Best of luck, everybody. Bob, can you sign us off here? We got to get lineups ready to go. We'll catch you next Sunday prior to kickoff. And we got London games coming up here pretty soon, folks. So make sure you dial your clocks back and make sure you're ready to go. And we will be ready for that. Appreciate everybody for tuning us in. Styles, Derek, and Bob. Bob, you can run us out.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining once again. Go follow us across the board at Razzball Fantasy on YouTube, IG, and TikTok. And, of course, make sure you jump over to razzball.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. We're going to be here every single Sunday for at least 2 hours, breaking down your start sits, injuries, weather updates, everything you need to know before kickoff every Sunday live. And make sure you go to razzball.com and check out great articles from all these guys and the rest of our writers. I want to thank my team again today for being on. We appreciate you. We love you. Enjoy Sunday, folks. We are out of here.
Best of luck, everybody.